Sometimes you might find it difficult to remember words when you need them in conversation. That's normal. You might also sometimes pronounce words incorrectly, even though you know the correct way to pronounce them. That's normal too. And sometimes you might know exactly what a word means, but still have difficulty using it correctly in a full sentence. That is also normal. However, these are also problems that have a very simple solution that anyone can do. I'm Teacher Mike, and today I'm going to show you how to use flashcards. I'm going to show you how you can use them to memorize vocabulary, improve your pronunciation, and practice speaking all at the same time. First, I'm going to explain what flashcards are and how to use them. Then I'm going to use my own Thai flashcards for 2 or 3 minutes to show you what it looks like in real life. So, a flashcard is just a card that has a word or sentence on it. If you're learning English, it will probably have the English word on one side and a translation in your first language on the other side. Every time you learn a new word or phrase, make a flashcard and add it to your collection. Also make a flashcard every time that you notice that there is a word or phrase that you know but have difficulty remembering in conversation. And when you notice that there are words or phrases that you know how to pronounce but still sometimes pronounce incorrectly, make a flashcard for each of those words and phrases as well. And because you should be learning at least 5 new words each day, and noticing several words and phrases that you have difficulty with each day, in just 1 week you'll have about this many cards. Now let's look at how to use them. Look at the first card and read it out loud, focusing on saying it clearly. President. President. And when you do that, pay attention to 2 things. 1, do you know what it means? And 2, do you feel like you are pronouncing it correctly? If the answer to both of those is yes, say the word one more time and put the card at the bottom of the deck. President. Cards that are easier for you will go closer to the bottom, and cards that are more difficult for you will go closer to the top. When you do this, you'll see the difficult ones more often and the easier ones less often. And this is exactly what you want because the difficult ones are the ones that you should be reviewing again and again. Look at the next card and do the same thing. Guitar. Guitar. For this one, maybe you feel okay about the pronunciation, but you can't remember what the word means. So check the translation on the back, and then say the English word out loud maybe 2 or 3 more times, trying to create a stronger connection between the word and the meaning. Guitar. 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 Then, instead of putting the card all the way at the bottom of the deck, put it closer to the top, maybe just 4 or 5 cards down. Again, this guarantees that you will see it again sooner rather than later, so that when you do see it, it's still fresh in your mind. Because of this, the next time that you see it, it will probably feel a lot easier. And if it does, then you can put it closer to the bottom of the deck. The idea here is that when something is difficult, we want to repeat it very often. But as it gets easier, we don't need to repeat it so often. Now, if you know what a word means, but you notice that you just didn't pronounce it very well, we're going to do something a little bit different. However, this part only works when you already know how the word sounds when pronounced correctly. So every time that you learn a new word, you should be looking it up in an online dictionary and listening to it several times so that you become familiar with the correct pronunciation. This is especially important when learning English because English words are often not pronounced the way that they look like they should be pronounced. So maybe you know that a word should have an R sound, but when you say it out loud, you notice that you didn't pronounce the R sound very clearly. Say it again, but this time really focus on saying it slowly and clearly. President. President, president. Do this as many times as you need to until you feel like you are saying it clearly and saying it clearly feels comfortable to you. And when it does feel comfortable, then you can also try saying it a bit more naturally 2 or 3 times. President, president, president. Then put it back into the deck. And because this one was a little bit difficult, put it closer to the top. Also, if there's a word that you sometimes forget how to pronounce, you can write the word the way that it's pronounced on the card. Or if there's just one part of a word that you sometimes have difficulty pronouncing, you can either highlight that part of the word or make a note reminding yourself how to pronounce it. But like I said, this only works when you already know how a word sounds when pronounced correctly. So every time you learn a new word, look it up and listen to it several times. And after doing this with 4 or 5 cards, you will arrive back at the same card that you had difficulty with in the beginning. If you have difficulty with it again, do the same thing, and then put it 4 or 5 cards from the top, just like you did the first time. But if it's easier this time, then you can put it maybe 10 or 15 cards from the top. That way, although you aren't going to see it again very soon, you will see it again at least one more time. Or if you arrive at that card and now feel 100% confident with it, then you can take it and put it all the way at the bottom. That way you can focus on your other cards for right now, and you can review that one again when you come back to your cards in 24 hours. And you will come back to your cards in 24 hours because you are going to make this a part of your daily routine. So put your flashcards somewhere where you will see them and be able to use them at the same time each day. For example, put them in your car so that you can sit in your car and review them for 5 to 10 minutes each day before going into your office. Or put them on top of your pillow so that you always remember to review them for 5 to 10 minutes before going to bed each evening. Do it wherever you want, but I really recommend always doing it at the same place and time because this is the easiest way to make sure that it really becomes a part of your routine. And making it a part of your routine helps to guarantee that you never forget to do it. And it's important to remember that flashcards are for review. So yes, sometimes you will feel like you are very confident with them and don't need to review them anymore. When that happens, put those cards away and review your other cards. However, you still need to go back and review those old ones sometimes as well. Because if you're not using those words and phrases in your daily life, in just a few weeks, you're not going to be so confident with them anymore. Also, don't forget that when you have a card that just has one word or phrase on it, you can use that as an opportunity to try to create some sentences with it and practice speaking. For example, if your card has the word delayed on it, you could create the sentence, "My flight was delayed," and then say that sentence out loud several times, focusing on getting it to feel more natural and becoming more confident with it. That way, if you ever need that sentence in conversation, it will be easier to remember and you will feel more confident using it. And finally, I'm going to show you how I use my flashcards. but because I'm a native English speaker, I'm going to show you how I use them to practice Thai. Kang lang, kang lang. So that means below. I know that one. It's easy. I'm going to put it in the back. เพิ่งซื้อวันนี้เองเพิ่งเพิ่งซื้อวันนี้เอง So I had a little bit of difficulty with the pronunciation in the beginning, so now I'm really focusing on it. เพิ่งซื้อวันนี้เอง Now I feel a little bit more comfortable, so I'm going to do it 1 or 2 more times and then try to say it at a more natural speed. เพิ่งซื้อวันนี้เองเพิ่งซื้อวันนี้เองเพิ่งซื้อวันนี้เองเพิ่งซื้อวันนี้เอง Yeah, not great, but I feel okay about it, so I'll put it closer to the back, kind of around the middle. Caffeine, caffeine. So I know that this one means caffeine. I just put it here because it's similar to the English word, so I sometimes forget how they pronounce it in Thai. But easy, so I'm going to put it in the back. Ya means stop, or don't do that. So to practice making a full sentence with it and pronouncing it correctly, I'll make a full sentence and then say it a few times. อย่าทำแบบนั้น means stop doing that. อย่าทำแบบนั้นอย่าทำแบบนั้น Okay, I feel okay about it. Blom means fake, and I know that it's easy to pronounce, so I'll put it in the back. Maroon means the day after tomorrow. Yeah. So that one's in here because at that point when I made these several years ago, it was a new word for me, and it was also a word that I thought I wouldn't use very often, so I added it to my flashcards to make sure that I would see it more often and be able to remember it. อย่างที่คุณสัญญาอย่างที่คุณสัญญา So that means as you promised. I put this one in here because I thought it might be a useful phrase to use at work or in conversation sometimes. อย่างที่คุณสัญญา Feel pretty good about it. Gonna put it close to the back. เหตุผล my pronunciation, I noticed it was a little bit off, so I'm going to do it a few more times. เหตุผล feel okay. Put it close to the back. ตะปู I think that means nail, like hammer and nail. Yeah, it means nail. Again, it's one that I put in here because I don't need this word in conversation often. And you want to take the words that you don't need often and make flashcards to make sure that you see them and use them sometimes. Because if you're not using them in conversation and you don't have flashcards for them, you're probably not going to remember them. So it's not just about words that you need in conversation, it's also about making flashcards for words that you know you're never going to use or probably never going to use so that you can remember them even though you're not really using them. ไม่คิดว่าจะแพงมากอย่างนี้ไม่คิดว่าจะแพงมากอย่างนี้ Again, I can pronounce it pretty well, but I'm really focusing on pronunciation, trying to do it a little bit more clearly each time. ไม่คิดว่าจะแพง not แพง ไม่คิดว่าจะแพงมากอย่างนี้ไม่คิดว่าจะแพงมากอย่างนี้ Yeah, feel okay about that one. So yeah, that's how I use flashcards. Yes, there are other ways to use them as well. I like to use them this way because it helps with not only memorizing vocabulary, but also with pronunciation and speaking.